Hi there. Later, how same-sex parents could get to share DNA with their kids. First though, yet again, Hungary's failing prime ministers tried to ban a pride event, and yet again, everyone's just ignored the old bigot. About 8,000 people have turned out in Pécs in the southeast in defiance of Viktor Orbán. His far-right government supposedly outlawed LGBTQ+ parades to protect children. Straight ally Edith Shinko was showing her support.
I'm not directly part of any LGBTQ organisations or community, but many of my students and friends are. And I don't understand why they should be banned. They are wonderful, valuable people. We're all human beings, and it's incomprehensible that our freedoms should be taken away. If someone else isn't free, then neither am I.
Thanks to NewsX World, Orbán's attempt to stop Budapest Pride a few months ago led to its biggest attendance ever, 200,000 people, about 6 times more than last year. Next, Japan's going to give more legal protections to same-sex couples by treating them as though they're married. The country's slowly edging towards proper equality on this, with a number of high courts ruling the ban on gay marriage there is unconstitutional. Amongst other things, couples will now qualify for a disaster condolence grant. Extra rights were also confirmed back in January, including protection from domestic violence. And same-sex parents could both get to share genes with their baby in future. Genes with a G, not Levi's. US scientists have managed to fertilise egg cells made using DNA from human skin. So, ultimately, it's a long way off. For a male same-sex couple, one partner would provide the skin with sperm from the other man. With the likes of surrogacy, only one partner can share genes. And there endeth the biology lesson. No time to tell you that. Love Transcends is the theme for this year's Trans Empowerment Month, which starts today in America. And rainbow sightseeing tours of LGBTQ+ landmarks in Taipei for the Taiwanese city's Pride Month feature drag queens and queer influencers as guides. Hi there. Later, bigoty Catholic schools lose their legal fight to be bigoty. First though, a challenge to a ban on conversion therapy in Colorado in America is heard by the Supreme Court today. All to do with therapist and evangelical Christian Kaylee Childs, who just wants to help young queer people prioritise their faith above their feelings. Isn't that nice? Reckons not being allowed to try and convert them violates her free speech rights. Lauren A. Elkerson's from conservative Christian law firm Alliance Defending Freedom, which is representing Charles.
By censoring these counselors, they're taking away from these kids the opportunity to have clear, open counseling conversations where they can explore their own goals, which include realigning with their biological sex or dealing with their confusion over their identity. That's something that's good that kids need, and this law prevents that from happening.
Notice the words conversion therapy aren't mentioned. Crafty Christians. Half the US states ban the discredited practice on minors, but that goes out the window if judges side with Giles. The UK's CAS review of gender identity services for young people is being absolutely ripped to bits in the Medical Journal of Australia. A team of 15 clinicians and researchers say it lacks expertise, is compromised by implicit stigma, and doesn't give credible evidence-based guidance. Puberty blockers are now banned in the UK because of the report. The experts warn it should have no bearing on trans healthcare in Australia. And it's back to Colorado, where a couple of Catholic preschools are told they can't discriminate against queer children or kids with LGBTQ+ parents. Basically, if the two institutions want some of that sweet state funding, they have to accept pupils regardless of anyone's sexuality or gender identity. The schools in Denver had been arguing religious hostilities at play here, which is actually kind of true, it's just they're the ones instigating it. No time to tell you that. Uruguay's Diversity March, one of the biggest queer rights demonstrations in Latin America, has seen thousands of people in the streets of Montevideo. And Australian gay country singer Michael Wars tied the knot with his partner TJ in matching cowboy hats. Hi there. Later, the bigoted Lithuanian lawmaker hit with a massive fine. First though, an update on yesterday's top story. It's looking like a ban on conversion therapy in the US state of Colorado is going to be overturned. Right-wing Supreme Court judges look set to side with an evangelical Christian therapist in a free speech case. Could well impact bans across America on the discredited practice of straightening out queer people. Survivor Matt Salmon's been protesting outside the court.
Hearing messages that I was an abomination, essentially that there was something innately wrong with me because of who I was. I walked away from that, with complex PTSD as a result of the just insidious harm that talk therapy can do when it's used in a fraudulent way.
Thanks to the Washington Post, a final decision on this is due sometime before late June next year. Next, a €10,000 fine for the Lithuanian lawmaker who abused a group of LGBTQ+ visitors in the country's parliament. Amongst other things, MEP Petras Gražulis told them queer people are degenerate, spread venereal diseases with goats and corpses, and are pederasts, men who have sex with boys. Reckons it's fine because he was just quoting the Bible, and he now plans to ask Jeffrey Epstein's friend who runs America for support, because, like attracts like. An inclusive language has been banned in schools in El Salvador. The government says it'll protect children from ideological interference that could disrupt their growth. Advocacy groups in the Central American country fear the ban will increase stigma. This as Italy plans restrictions on discussions of anything LGBTQ+ in class. No time to tell you that. Guidance on protecting the rights of intersex people has been approved by human rights organisation the Council of Europe. Covers the likes of unwanted medical interventions, plus hate crime and discrimination. And it's International Lesbian Day. I say international, but it's mainly an Australia and New Zealand thing. Lesbians are big down under. Hi there. Later, the end of humanity. You're welcome. First though, the pie-related response of a transgender US military veteran to attempts at labelling trans people as terrorists. It's what America's Republican Party continues doing as part of their culture wars clownery, falsely claiming the transgender communities behind an epidemic of violence. So, Marine and Navy vet Cassandra Williamson's taken to the kitchen for a new series, A Day in the Life of a Transgender American Terrorist.
So, just bear with me. You're going to watch me do the trans terrorist training camp in the kitchen. I've already preheated the oven to 400 degrees. Blend all that together. And I got to turn myself into the FBI at some point in time.
Yeah, she's making a pie. The 66-year-old from Kentucky is documenting her decidedly un-terrorist life to underscore how utterly ridiculous this all is. Says humour's the best way to navigate all the hate. Next, a push to end conversion therapy across the European Union. It's one of the aims of a new LGBTQ+ strategy, which says the practices, currently banned in 8 of the 27 EU countries, are harmful and violate personal dignity. There's also a focus on dealing with anti-queer hate speech. This, as it's looking like bans in America on attempts to straighten out queer people, could end up being overturned. And were you aware that the LGBTQ+ agenda is being used by the West to wipe out mankind? Russian scientist and someone who's clearly been skipping their meds, Mikhail Kovalchuk reckons it's part of efforts by the elites, the elites, to reduce birth rates. A 77-year-old friend of Vladimir Putin says a virus is going to be unleashed as well. Then only the great and good will remain, along with their robot servants. No time to tell you that. LGBTQ+ Literature Festival, The Coast is Queer, starts today in Brighton in the UK. Brighton's on the coast, so it's a pun. We'll screen a documentary about the book 3,000 Lesbians Go to York, and surely that's more than enough reason to get yourself a ticket. Hi there. Later, Harry Potter's wicked grandma proves bad for business. First though, it's World Mental Health Day, and there's a big concert later aiming to save queer lives. Music for Change in London's raising money to help prevent LGBTQ+ suicide and drug-related deaths. Performers include the city's Gay Men's Chorus and its Gay Symphony Orchestra. The You Are Loved organisation's a part of this. Its founder is Mark Svensson.
Within the LGBTQ+ community, suicide and self-harm is sadly more than twice as likely compared to the general population. Many of us navigate rejection, discrimination, family estrangement. So, for World Mental Health Day, let's come together to break the cycle of stigma and loneliness through the power of music and community.
Money raised will support the work of You Are Loved, so being queer doesn't make it more likely you'll die prematurely. Next, a kick up the backside for a homophobic radio presenter in South Africa and his campaign of hate on social media. Ngizwe Mkunu's labelled gay men shameful, wished a plague on one individual and taken his bigotry out onto the streets of Johannesburg for TikToks, and that's not even the half of it. The South African Human Rights Commission's ordered him to stop being a hateful bedwetter, take down the posts and say sorry. And a Harry Potter-themed event in a forest in Canada's come up against a big old backlash from queer allies. All to do with those well-known views of Harry's wicked grandma when it comes to transgender people. You'll have heard she never shuts up about it. Vancouver's park board's apologised, says next month's immersive experience will never happen again, and they'll consult on any future events with human rights implications. No time to tell you that. Quite a few countries mark National Coming Out Day tomorrow. So maybe an opportunity for all those anti-queer right-wingers to finally confront who they really are. Get in touch in our socials. We're at Pride Daily Pod. You can find our daily video there. I'm Kev McGraw. See you next week.